Israel's worst natural disaster ever. A fire that has killed at least 41 people in the parched north of Israel continued to rage on Friday, turning into the worst natural disaster in the country's history, with thousands and thousands of acres burned, thousands of residents evacuated, and a dozen countries rushing planes, helicopters, and personnel to offer aid. The Carmel forest around the port city of Haifa, normally rolling hills carpeted in pine, was an apocalyptic scene, with rows of blazing trees, the sky crimson from flames soaring dozens of feet, and embers flying for miles, smacking the car windshields of nearby roads. Relief workers, overcome by smoke, lay sprawled on the ground. "We are in a very harsh event," Israel's Prime Minister said at an emergency cabinet meeting in Tel Aviv. "We have more than 40 dead. People are missing. People are injured. Many perished in admirable courage and sacrificed themselves in order to save others." Israel, which often provides doctors and aid workers for disasters abroad, had never before solicited such international help. Aid arrived from across the region on Friday, and may have even led to a slight opening in the diplomatic standoff between Turkey and Israel, after Turkey sent 2 helicopters and said it would coordinate NATO's relief efforts here. The Prime Minister of Israel called Turkey's Prime Minister to thank him. It was the highest level contact between the two countries in months. Turkey's Prime Minister said its efforts should not be interpreted as a diplomatic opening. In the face of such a natural disaster, we needed to help as a humanitarian and Islamic requirement, he said. "Our planes will remain in your country until the fire is brought under control." He was also quoted by Turkish media as saying that relations between the two countries would remain chilly until Israel apologized and provided compensation for the deaths of 9 Turks, including one of American citizenship, when Israeli commandos boarded a ship that was trying to break the Gaza embargo in May. Turkey was not alone in pitching in despite diplomatic difficulties with Israel. The Palestinian Authority, which cut off American-sponsored direct peace talks with Israel 2 months ago, sent fire trucks. In addition, Bulgaria sent approximately 100 firefighters, and Egypt, Jordan, Spain, Russia, Romania, and other countries sent equipment. The United States made available 20,000 liters of fire-suppressant chemical, its embassy announced. President Obama offered condolences and more help, saying, "That's what friends do for each other." As night fell, pilots had to interrupt their missions of dumping water and fire retardants until daybreak. Some 17,000 people had been evacuated, and at least 7,000 acres destroyed. The huge blaze, whose cause remained unclear, although it could have been negligence, broke out at midday Thursday and spread with an unpredictable and highly ferocious speed, witnesses said, fed by strong winds and the driest conditions in years. It quickly overwhelmed Israel's 1,400-member firefighting force and raised difficult questions about preparedness in a country that likes to think it is ready for anything. The government said it was investigating the possibility of arson, but Police Chief David Cohen said at a news conference that it was more likely that the fire had been caused by negligence. Some commentators called for the resignation of the Interior Minister, saying that the drought and heat this year had produced numerous calls to bolster the firefighting force, and that those calls had been ignored. Israel is one of the few countries whose tree population has grown markedly in recent decades, with tree planting a common act of dedication in the Zionist movement. Prime Minister acknowledged that Israel had none of the firefighting aircraft needed for the disaster, and he thanked the countries that had responded. He pledged to restore the North and to acquire the needed equipment. So far, almost all the fatalities were caused when a bus carrying prison service officer cadets to help evacuate a prison was engulfed in flames. The Haifa police chief, who was driving ahead of the bus, was critically injured. Haifa University and a hospital were evacuated. Livestock on communal and other farms were moved, but many more animals remained at risk. A writer for the newspaper Haaretz wrote on Friday that the blaze was the equivalent of the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, meaning it was a disaster for Israel because the authorities were unprepared. And again, this is the worst natural disaster in Israel's history ever. The worst fires they have ever seen. This is also another sign of the times, the end times, transition days, which is a continuing daily process happening all around the world. Again, Revelation chapter 16, verse 8. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch humans with fire. 9. And humans were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. 10. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. 11. And blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, now the mouth of the beast, now the mouth of the false prophet. 14. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the leaders of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. 17. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. 18. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since humans were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. 19. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. 20. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. 21. And there fell upon humans a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And humans blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. And yes, all these are more signs. And it is time for all prophecy to be fulfilled.